When it comes to relationships, age is just a number. But the way a younger woman behaves around an older man she's genuinely drawn to, that tells a story that words never will. Here is what most men over 50 have completely backwards. They spend their time wondering whether she's actually interested, analyzing her texts, second-guessing the moment, asking themselves, was that real, or was she just being friendly? But the truth is this. A younger woman who is drawn to a mature man does not have full control over how she behaves around him. Her body moves before her mind makes a decision. Her energy shifts before she consciously chooses to let it. Her behaviors change, quietly, consistently, almost involuntarily, in ways that reveal everything she hasn't said out loud yet. She won't announce it. She won't confess it. She won't make the first obvious move. But she will do 6 very specific things. Things she may not even fully realize she's doing. Things that, once you know how to read them, make her feelings impossible to misinterpret. In this video, we're going to go deep into the silent language of feminine attraction. Not the obvious signs. The subtle ones. The ones rooted in psychology, in biology, in the way a woman's mind and body respond when something inside her has already made a decision her mouth hasn't caught up with yet. Stay with me through all 6, because the last one is the one that most men completely overlook. And it is the most powerful evidence of all that she hasn't just noticed you. She has already, quietly and completely, claimed you. Let's begin. Sign 1. She studies you. There is a difference between a woman who talks to you and a woman who studies you. And once you understand that difference, you will never miss it again. When a younger woman is genuinely drawn to an older man, she doesn't just listen to what he says. She absorbs it. She files it away. She returns to it later when she's alone and replays it, not because the information mattered, but because he mattered. You'll notice it in the details. She remembers the name of that trip you mentioned 3 weeks ago. She asks a follow-up question about something you said in passing that you barely remember saying. She brings up a story you told once as if it was important to her, because it was. She is not making conversation. She is building a map of who you are. And here is the psychology underneath this behavior. When we are drawn to someone, the brain begins to prioritize information about that person. It pays closer attention. It stores details that would otherwise be forgotten. It treats that person as significant, which means every word they speak becomes worth remembering. The compliments she gives you also carry a specific quality that sets them apart from ordinary politeness. She doesn't compliment the surface. She compliments the depth. She tells you that the way you handled a situation impressed her, that the way you think about something she'd never considered before opened her mind, that the calmness you carry, the steadiness that took decades of life to build, is something she finds genuinely rare. She is not flattering you to be nice. She is telling you, through the specific things she chooses to admire, exactly what she sees when she looks at you. And what she sees is a man whose story she wants to understand completely. When a woman studies you like this, she has already decided you are worth the effort. The only question she's still working out is whether you see her the same way. Sign 2. Her body moves before her mind decides. This is where feminine attraction becomes impossible to fake, because the body does not wait for permission. When a younger woman is drawn to a mature man, she physically gravitates toward him in ways she doesn't fully control. She sits closer than the situation requires. Not inappropriately close, just close enough to feel the warmth of his presence. She leans in slightly when he speaks, as if pulled by something she isn't consciously directing. And then come the touches. A light brush of her fingers against his arm when she laughs. A gentle tap on his shoulder to emphasize a point in conversation. Her hand grazing his as she passes something across the table. Each one brief. Each one casual on the surface. Each one completely loaded with meaning underneath. Here is what psychology tells us about this. Physical touch is the most deliberate form of nonverbal communication we have. Unlike facial expressions, which can be controlled, or words, which can be rehearsed, the impulse to touch someone we are drawn to comes from a deeper place. It bypasses the filter of conscious thought and expresses something the mind hasn't yet found words for. When she touches you, she is not being forward. She is testing the temperature. She is asking, without asking, whether closeness between the two of you is safe, whether you will receive it, whether the space between you can get a little smaller. The proximity she chooses tells the same story. When she angles her body toward you in a group, when she stays standing near you even when there are other places to be, when she finds small reasons to extend the time she spends in your physical presence, none of these things happen by accident. They happen because her body has already made a decision. It is moving toward you. It is doing what the body does when it recognizes someone worth moving toward.
You do not have to say anything.
You do not have to perform anything. You simply have to be steady enough to receive it without flinching. Sign 3. She makes you feel like the smartest man in the room. Pay attention to this one because it is easy to misread as simple politeness. It is not. When a younger woman is genuinely attracted to a mature man, she does something that most women reserve only for men they are seriously considering. She elevates him, publicly, consistently, and in ways that feel completely natural because to her, they are. She turns to him in conversation as if his perspective carries weight above everyone else's. She asks for his opinion on things she could easily figure out on her own, not because she needs the answer, but because she wants the experience of hearing him think out loud. She listens when he speaks with a quality of attention that is visibly different from how she listens to anyone else. Her posture changes. Her expression softens. Her eyes focus. And she absorbs his responses not with the polite nod of someone waiting for their turn to speak, but with genuine, visible curiosity. She leans forward. She asks follow-up questions. She sits with what he says before she replies. Here is the psychology behind why she does this. Seeking guidance from someone is one of the most intimate forms of trust that exists between two people. When we go to someone with our real questions, our actual uncertainties, our genuine decisions, we are handing them something vulnerable. We are saying, your judgment matters to me. I trust your mind. I trust your experience. I trust you. And trust, in feminine psychology, is the foundation of everything that follows. By seeking his advice, she is not just collecting information. She is building emotional closeness, one conversation at a time. She is weaving the threads of a connection that goes deeper than surface attraction. She is learning whether the man she feels drawn to is worthy of the vulnerability she is quietly preparing to offer him. When a woman makes you feel like the most valuable voice in the room, she has already made a decision about you. She is simply waiting to see whether you will recognize it. Sign 4. She auditions for a role in your life. This is one of the most telling signs of all, and one of the most misunderstood. When a younger woman is drawn to a mature man, she begins to do something that has nothing to do with vanity and everything to do with genuine admiration. She tries to be her best self in front of him. Not a performed version. Not an exaggerated version. Her actual best, the most put together, most thoughtful, most carefully presented version of who she genuinely is. She chooses her outfit before seeing him with a level of attention she doesn't apply to other situations. Not to impress the room, to impress him specifically. She carries herself differently in his presence, a little taller, a little more poised, a little more conscious of how she moves and how she sounds. But here is what is important to understand about this behavior. It is not about appearance. Appearance is just the most visible layer of something much deeper. What she is actually doing is auditioning. She has decided, consciously or not, that this man's world is somewhere she would like to belong. And she is showing him, through every small deliberate choice, that she is someone worthy of that world. That she has the depth, the grace, the presence to be a meaningful part of the life he has built. When a woman dresses up for a man, she is not saying, look at me. She is saying, I want to be someone you look for. There is an enormous difference between those two things. One is about vanity. The other is about longing. And when her body language shifts around him, when she stands taller, smiles more openly, brings her full presence into the interaction, she is not performing. She is showing up. Fully. Intentionally. With everything she has. Because she has decided he is worth that level of effort. Sign 5. She tries to build a shared universe with you. This sign is subtle enough that most men experience it and simply feel good without understanding what it actually means. When a younger woman is attracted to an older man, she develops a genuine curiosity about his world, his hobbies, his passions, the things that have meant something to him across the years of his life. But here is the thing most men miss. She is not just curious about the activities themselves. She is curious because those activities are part of who he is. And she wants to understand who he is completely. She asks about the guitar he's been playing for decades, not because she suddenly developed an interest in music, but because she wants to picture him in that moment. She asks to join his weekend hike, not because she loves hiking, but because she wants to exist in a space that is his. She asks about the story behind a particular photograph on a shelf, a vintage item he treasures, an experience he mentioned only briefly once. These questions are emotional archaeology. She is carefully, gently excavating the history of a person she is beginning to care about. And the more she learns, the more deliberately she builds overlap between his world and hers. The psychology here is profound. When we share someone's passions, when we enter the spaces where they feel most themselves, we create what researchers call emotional anchoring. The other person begins to associate their deepest sense of identity with our presence. We stop being a person they know and start being a person who belongs in their story. When a younger woman picks up the paintbrush, joins the morning walk, asks to hear the music, attends the event, she is not learning a hobby. She is building a shared universe. She is weaving herself into the fabric of his life, one meaningful detail at a time. And she is doing it because, in her mind, she is already imagining what it would feel like to be a permanent part of that life. Sign 6, the most powerful and most overlooked, she quietly guards what she hasn't even claimed yet. This is the sign that reveals the deepest level of emotional investment. And it is the one that most men dismiss entirely because it is almost invisible until you know what you're actually looking at. When a younger woman has genuinely fallen for a mature man, something shifts in how she moves through the world around him. She becomes quietly, subtly protective, not of herself, but of him, of the connection they share, of the space between them that she has begun to think of as hers. You'll see it in the small moments. When another woman enters the conversation and something almost imperceptible changes in her posture, a slight straightening, a more active engagement, a subtle repositioning that keeps her presence known. She doesn't make a scene. She doesn't say anything sharp. She simply ensures, with the quiet efficiency of someone who has already decided this matters, that she remains visible. She might casually reference a shared experience or an inside joke, not to perform for the room, but to draw an invisible line around something that belongs to the two of them specifically. Something the newcomer was not part of. A gentle, graceful reminder that a history exists here. Her protectiveness extends beyond the presence of other women. If someone speaks about him carelessly, her tone shifts. If someone misunderstands him, she clarifies. If something in the dynamic threatens the warmth of what they've built together, she steps in, quietly, instinctively, without being asked. Here is what this behavior reveals about where she is emotionally. Jealousy in its unhealthy form comes from insecurity, from fear of losing what you have. But what she is expressing is something different. It is investment. It is the behavior of someone who has allowed another person to become part of her emotional identity. She is not protecting ownership. She is protecting something precious and still fragile, the beginning of something real. When a woman guards a connection she has not yet officially claimed, when she protects a man who has not yet formally chosen her, that is not possessiveness. That is the deepest evidence that what she feels is genuine, that it has moved past attraction, past curiosity, past the early warmth of something new. It has become something she is not willing to lose. And a woman who is not willing to lose you has already, in every way that matters, chosen you. What this all means for you. Here is the truth that most men over 50 were never told. You are not invisible. You are not past your prime. You are not competing with younger men on a playing field that no longer belongs to you. You are operating on a completely different level, one that younger men don't yet have access to. Because what a mature woman, or a younger woman of real depth, is looking for cannot be faked by youth. It cannot be performed. It can only be lived. The steadiness that comes from having navigated real challenges. The clarity that comes from knowing who you are after decades of becoming yourself. The calm confidence that doesn't need to be loud because it has nothing left to prove. These are not things that diminish with age. These are things that only deepen with it. And when a younger woman studies you, gravitates toward you physically, elevates you in conversation, tries to earn a place in your world, learns what makes you alive, and quietly guards the connection you share, she is responding to all of that. To the whole of who you have become. She is not drawn to your age. She is drawn to what your age has made you. The 6 behaviors we covered today are her language. And now that you speak it, you will never again stand in a room wondering whether she's interested. You will simply know. If any of this felt familiar, if you recognized a moment, a woman, a conversation that now looks different in the light of what you've just learned, then this video did exactly what it was meant to do. Go ahead and hit that like button to help this content reach the men who need it most. And subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next video in our series on the real psychology of attraction, connection, and what it actually means to be a man worth choosing. Because understanding how women communicate, not with words but with behavior, energy, and the quiet language of everything they don't say, that understanding changes everything. And you deserve that clarity. We'll see you in the next one.